There is a quiet truth in trading that no one tells you in the beginning, a truth hidden beneath every chart, every strategy, every system, every win, and every loss. It is this: you are not trading the market. You are trading yourself, your fears, your impulses, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your inner narrative. Every decision you make in the market is a reflection of the mind you bring to it. Most traders spend years looking outward, searching for the perfect setup, the perfect indicator, the perfect shortcut. But the ones who grow, the ones who last, the ones who rise above the noise, they turn inward, they study themselves, they refine themselves, they evolve themselves, because the trader you become is the greatest edge you will ever have. Today's episode is not about predicting the market. It's about understanding the one force that shapes every outcome you experience: your psychology. And the tool we explore today, the monthly audit guided by Prune Keep Upgrade, is the compass that helps you navigate not the charts, but your own evolution. So take a breath, slow down, and step with me into a deeper conversation, a conversation about the mind behind the trades, the identity behind the actions, and the truth behind your results. This is Mind Over Markets, and your transformation begins now. There is a moment every trader eventually faces, a moment when the charts go silent, when the screen stops moving, and the only thing left is you. Not the strategy, not the indicators, not the market. Just you, your decisions, and the truth you've been avoiding. Most traders never reach this moment willingly. They keep running from it. They keep chasing new tools, new systems, new shortcuts, anything to avoid looking inward. But professionals, they do the opposite. They pause, they reflect, they audit. And that single habit is what separates a trader who grows from a trader who keeps repeating the same mistakes month after month. So today I want to invite you into a different kind of conversation, not about setups, not about market structure, not about entries or exits, but about something far more important: your patterns, your emotions, your blind spots, your decisions under stress, your reactions when the market tests your identity, not just your skill. This is the foundation of the monthly audit, a ritual built not on charts, but on psychology, because your equity curve is nothing more than a mirror of your inner world. Every spike comes from clarity. Every drawdown comes from chaos. And the audit exists to tell you which one is controlling your month. Before we begin the framework, let me tell you one truth that hurts at first, but frees you later. You don't lose because the market is hard. You lose because your brain is wired to avoid responsibility. The mind hates reviewing mistakes. It hates seeing its own patterns. It hates admitting it acted emotionally. It hates remembering how it sabotaged itself. This is why traders skip their reviews. This is why they keep blowing accounts in the same way. This is why they get stuck for years at the same level of skill. The monthly audit breaks that cycle. It forces the mind to face reality with no excuses left. And when you shine light on the truth stops controlling you. Think about this. Every trader knows how to backtest, but almost no one mind tests. Almost no one tests their own psychology. Almost no one evaluates their emotional triggers, their impulsive actions, their hidden fears, their unhealthy beliefs. But these are the things that move your hand from the mouse to the market. These are the things that decide whether you follow your plan or abandon it. These are the things that define your success far more than any strategy ever will. Monthly audit is not a review. It's not bookkeeping. It's not checking your trades. It is a psychological inventory, a full scan of who you were this month and who you need to become next month. Because identity is the real edge, not strategies. not systems, not signal services, identity. The trader you are inside creates the results you see outside. And if you want the results to change, the identity must evolve first. That is the purpose of this ritual: to prune the parts of you that sabotage your progress, to keep the strengths that move you forward, and to upgrade the behaviors, the beliefs, and the mindsets that shape your future performance. Prune, keep, upgrade. 3 words, 1 transformation. But before we explore the framework, let's talk about something deeper, something most traders never realize. Your brain lies to you, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to protect you. Protect you from guilt, protect you from discomfort, protect you from admitting you were wrong, protect you from facing the truth that your losses were emotional, not technical. And as long as the brain hides these truths, you will trade in circles. You will chase the same setups, repeat the same mistakes, experience the same emotional swings, live inside the same cycle of frustration and hope over and over again. The audit interrupts this cycle. It gives you a chance to reset, to step out of your impulses and see your behavior from the outside. Because when you look at a month as a whole, not trade by trade, you finally see the patterns that were invisible before. You see when FOMO took control. You see when fear made you pass on good trades. You see the moments when frustration led to revenge trading. You see the beliefs that quietly dictated your decisions, and once seen, they can no longer hide. This is why the monthly audit matters, because without it, you are trading blind, not blind to the market, but blind to yourself. The market doesn't kill traders. Self-deception does. The market doesn't ruin careers. Ego does. The market doesn't wipe accounts. Emotional shortcuts do. The monthly audit is how you escape this. It is how you bring consciousness into a profession ruled by unconscious impulses. It is how you transform trading from a battle with the market into a mastery of your own psychology. Most traders obsess over what to trade. Professionals obsess over how they behave while trading. That's the real difference. Professionals know that if they manage themselves, their strategy will take care of the rest. And that's why this ritual, this monthly audit, is sacred to them, because it keeps the mind clean. It keeps the emotions in check. It keeps the identity evolving. It keeps the trader growing. Now we begin the journey into the framework Prune. Keep, upgrade. But first, take a breath. Let the noise drop. Let the ego settle. Let the mind prepare itself for honesty. Because the audit starts with truth. And truth is the one thing the market cannot teach you. You must choose to face it yourself. Now we begin. The first pillar of the monthly audit. The one most traders resist. The one the ego hates the most. Prune. To prune is to cut, to remove, to eliminate, to let go of what no longer serves you. To face the uncomfortable truth that some part of your trading behavior is quietly killing your progress. This is where real transformation begins, not by learning something new, but by subtracting what holds you back. The beginner asks, "What can I add?" The professional asks, "What must I remove?" Because growth is not addition, growth is reduction. Growth is stripping away the noise so your true edge can finally breathe. So ask yourself this one question, the question most traders are too afraid to confront. What did I do this month that I already knew I should not have done? It's a painful question, not because you don't know the answer, but because you do. Your mind knows every emotional trade, every moment of hesitation, every time you broke your rules, every time you acted out of fear, greed, frustration, boredom, or ego. You remember them all. Your brain keeps those moments on repeat because it knows how heavy they are. But in your audit, you don't run from them. You turn toward them. Let's prune one layer at a time. Begin with the behaviors. The ones you pretend don't matter. the ones you hide behind excuses, the ones you tell yourself were not a big deal. Overtrading, revenge trading, FOMO entries, cutting winners too early, letting losers run, checking the charts every 5 minutes, entering trades from your phone while standing in line for coffee, chasing after news candles you don't understand, adding size you didn't earn, ignoring your stop loss because this one will come back. These are not random moments. These are patterns powerful enough to destroy months of progress. So write them down, all of them, the sharp, the ugly, the embarrassing, the parts of yourself you wish weren't real, because if you don't face them, they will return next month, and the month after, and the month after that, until they become the very identity you're trying to escape. Next, prune the emotional baggage, fear, hesitation, impatience, overconfidence, the belief that you must make back what you lost, the desperation to end the month green at all costs, the guilt that hangs over you after a losing streak, the shame that whispers you're not good enough, the silent pressure you put on yourself to be perfect. These emotions don't disappear on their own. They sit quietly in your mind, waiting to influence your next trade. So in your audit, they must be exposed, named, acknowledged, removed from the shadows where they control you. Then we prune the deeper parts, the subtle ones, the invisible ones, the beliefs that shape your behavior without you noticing. Beliefs like I have to trade every day to be a real trader. If I miss this move, I'll fall behind. One big win can fix the month. I need to push harder to grow faster. A losing day means I'm doing something wrong. A winning streak means I'm finally a good trader. These beliefs are the true enemy, not the market, not volatility, not liquidity, not algorithms. These beliefs drive every emotional decision you make. They are invisible scripts your mind runs automatically until you bring them into awareness. So your audit becomes a mirror showing you the parts of your identity that are quietly misaligned with the trader you want to become. And this is where the real discomfort begins, because pruning requires letting go. And letting go means admitting something is no longer useful, admitting that a behavior you relied on was actually hurting you, admitting that a belief you trusted was built on ego, not truth, admitting that a habit you've practiced for years is the very thing keeping you stuck. But pruning also brings freedom, the freedom of clarity, the freedom of simplicity, the freedom of no longer carrying the weight of old patterns that sabotage your potential. Because every month you prune, you remove friction from your trading. You remove emotional noise. You remove unnecessary pressure. You remove psychological blind spots. And what remains is a cleaner mind, a sharper identity, a calmer decision maker, a trader less reactive and more intentional. The truth is this: the market does not require perfection, but it does require self-awareness. You can't control price. You can't control volatility. You can't control the outcome of any trade, but you can control the behaviors you bring to the table. You can control the emotional patterns you feed. You can control the beliefs you operate from, and you choose all of that through pruning. Each month you decide who you no longer want to be. Each month you release a layer of your old self. Each month you grow lighter, clearer, more focused. Professionals prune relentlessly because they know the mind builds mental clutter the way dust collects in a room. If you don't clean it, it piles up. And once it piles up, it blinds you. So ask yourself in the quiet honesty of your own mind, what must be cut before it cuts you? What behaviors have proven again and again that they do not deserve to follow you into the next month? What emotional patterns are costing you clarity? What beliefs are costing you discipline? What impulses are costing you consistency? Because whatever you don't prune becomes your prison, and whatever you prune becomes your freedom. This is the first phase, the hardest phase, the phase that requires courage, humility, and the willingness to confront parts of yourself you've ignored for too long. Prune deeply, prune honestly, prune without fear, because everything you remove makes space for the trader you're becoming. And in part 3, we explore that space, the part of you worth keeping. There is a moment after the pruning, after the honesty, after the truth you finally faced, when the mind becomes quiet, not defeated, not ashamed, just quiet. And in that quiet, something powerful emerges: clarity. Because once you remove the noise, what remains is the signal, the part of you that is actually working, the part of you that deserves to grow, the part of you that reflects the trader you're becoming. This is the second pillar of the monthly audit: keep. If pruning is about removing what destroys you, keeping is about preserving what builds you. Because too many traders only look at what went wrong. They obsess over their mistakes. They magnify their flaws. They punish themselves for every loss. They stare so deeply into their weaknesses that they completely overlook their strengths. But growth, real growth, does not come only from fixing what's broken. It comes from reinforcing what's working. And every month you do something right, more than you admit, more than your mind allows you to acknowledge. So now in this part of the audit, you search for the patterns worth protecting, the habits worth reinforcing, the behaviors worth repeating, the progress worth honoring. Start with the discipline you showed this month, even if it was small, even if it was imperfect, even if it was only for a few days. Maybe you waited for clear setups instead of forcing trades. Maybe you respected your stop loss without negotiation. Maybe you traded less but with more intention. Maybe you walked away when you felt emotional. Maybe you paused before entering a trade and asked yourself, is this in my plan or is this my ego? These moments matter. They are seeds, seeds of the trader you are becoming. And if you don't recognize them, you won't nurture them. Then keep the clarity you had on your best days. Those days when everything felt simple, when you didn't chase, when you didn't doubt, when you didn't try to force the outcome, when you simply executed what you knew was the right thing to do. These moments reveal your potential. They show you what you look like when the noise is silent and the mind is aligned. Keep those days, study them, understand them, replicate them. Ask yourself, what allowed me to be this version of myself? What did I do differently? What mental state was I in? What belief guided me? What emotion was absent? Because success leaves psychological fingerprints, and your audit is where you collect them. Next, keep the setups that worked for you, not the lucky ones, not the emotional ones, not the impulsive wins that felt good but had no structure behind them. Keep the trades you executed with clarity, the trades that aligned with your rules, the trades that came from patience, the trades where the process was correct regardless of the outcome. Because in trading, a good trade is not a winning trade. A good trade is a compliant trade, a disciplined trade, a trade that respects your plan more than it respects your ego. These are the trades that build consistency. These are the trades that build confidence. These are the trades that make you a professional. Speaking of confidence, keep the psychological capital you earned this month. Not the confidence that comes from winning money. That confidence is fragile, temporary, and dependent on external outcomes. I'm talking about earned confidence. The confidence that comes from discipline, from restraint, from making the right decisions even when they weren't easy, from following your rules even when your emotions wanted the opposite, from playing the long game when the short game tempted you with quick rewards. Earned confidence is the only confidence that lasts, and your audit is where you recognize it, so you can keep building it. Then, look at the habits that supported you. Maybe you journaled more consistently. Maybe you traded fewer pairs and found more clarity. Maybe you stopped trading during emotional hours. Maybe you took breaks when your mind felt tired. Maybe you reviewed your plan before the session. Maybe you respected your daily drawdown limit. These little behaviors are not small. They are the architecture of your identity. They shape the trader you become far more than any win or loss ever could. So keep them, protect them, reinforce them. Because the mind has a strange tendency to forget what works and obsess over what hurts. Keeping is how you break that cycle. Finally, keep the version of yourself that showed up on your best days. The version that was patient. The version that was intentional. The version that was calm. The version that knew what they were doing. The version that acted from understanding, not emotion. From clarity, not impulse. From truth, not fear. This version of you is not a fluke. It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's proof. Proof that you are capable of being the trader you want to become. Your job now is to keep that version alive, to nurture it, to build around it, to make it stronger each month. Because keeping is not passive. Keeping is active. Keeping is intentional. Keeping is choosing your identity over and over again until it becomes effortless. Pruning removes the noise. Keeping strengthens the signal. And once the noise is gone and the signal is clear, you are finally ready for the next phase of transformation. The phase that turns potential into progress. The phase that brings evolution into reality. The phase where you upgrade. There comes a point in every trader's journey where removing the old is no longer enough and keeping the good is no longer enough. There comes a point where you must evolve, not by force, not by pressure, not by chasing results, but by intentionally stepping into the next version of yourself. This is the third pillar of the monthly audit, upgrade. Because pruning clears the ground, keeping protects the foundation, but upgrading, that is where your identity begins to rise. Upgrading is not about adding more complexity. It's not about stacking more indicators or learning more strategies or consuming more information. Upgrading is about refinement, precision, purpose. It is about evolving the way you think, the way you behave, the way you structure your mind before you ever structure your trades. So ask yourself, what part of me needs to advance so the next month becomes different from the last? Begin with your mindset. Because the truth is this, most traders operate from hope. Professionals operate from expectation. Professionals understand that trading is not prediction, it is probability. It is risk management. It is emotional balance. It is the discipline to stay consistent even when the outcomes fluctuate. So this month, upgrade your relationship with uncertainty. Upgrade the way you interpret losses. Upgrade the way you define success. Upgrade the way you respond to discomfort, to boredom, to temptation. Because trading is not about controlling the market. It's about upgrading the version of yourself that interacts with it. Next, upgrade your process. Not by adding more rules, but by stripping away everything unnecessary until what remains is pure, simple, repeatable. Maybe your entries need clarity. Maybe your risk management needs structure. Maybe your journaling needs depth. Maybe your sessions need boundaries. Maybe your execution needs fewer optional decisions and more objective triggers. Upgrading is not about building a bigger system. It's about building a cleaner one that removes hesitation, one that reduces emotional choices, one that gives you a clear identity inside the market. Then upgrade your emotional skills. Because a trader does not rise by thinking more. A trader rises by feeling less, not numb, not detached from reality, but free from impulsive emotional reactions that distort perception. Maybe you need to practice micropauses before entering trades. Maybe you need a ritual to reset your mind after a loss. Maybe you need a daily reflection to release pressure. Maybe you need to master the art of stopping before tilt takes over. Emotional skill is a trained ability, and the audit shows you exactly where the training is needed. After that, upgrade your habits. The small patterns that compound over time, the ones that quietly shape your decisions long before you ever click buy or sell. Maybe you need to upgrade the way you sleep, upgrade the way you prepare for sessions, upgrade the amount of noise you allow into your brain, upgrade your patience by reducing screen addiction, upgrade the way you create distance from the market when your emotions rise. Habits are the invisible architecture of a trader's identity. Upgrade them, and your behavior upgrades automatically. Finally, upgrade your identity itself. Ask yourself a simple, powerful question: who is the trader I am becoming? And what would that version of me do differently next month? Would they chase no? Would they trade emotionally? No. Would they force a setup because they feel pressure to perform? No. Would they rely on hope instead of rules? No. They would act from clarity, from discipline, from patience, from self-respect, from alignment with the path they are committed to walking. Identity comes first. Performance comes second. Most traders get this backwards. They wait for results to give them permission to feel like professionals. But professionals behave like professionals long before the results arrive. Upgrade is where you close the gap between who you were and who you choose to become. Because every month you upgrade your relationship with trading changes. Your relationship with yourself changes. Your expectations shift from fantasy to reality, from fear to intention, from outcomes to process. And the moment that shift happens, your growth becomes exponential. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop forcing success. You start earning it. You stop hoping the market treats you well. You start treating yourself like someone who deserves to succeed. That is the power of upgrading. It is evolution through awareness, transformation through intention, mastery through identity. Because the trader you become is the greatest strategy you will ever build. Prune the noise, keep the strengths, upgrade the identity. This is how every month becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. And in the final part, we bring it all together. Why traders fail this process, and how you can rise above them with a level of psychological clarity most never reach. And now we reach the final chapter, the place where everything comes together, where the pruning, the keeping, and the upgrading merge into a single truth. A truth most traders never realize, a truth that defines the difference between those who evolve and those who repeat the same month over and over again. The truth is this: most traders fail not because they lack strategy, but because they lack integration. They review without reflection. They reflect without honesty. They learn without applying. They apply without consistency. They grow without measuring. And they measure without changing. The monthly audit breaks that cycle, but only if you allow it to. Because even the most powerful ritual means nothing if the mind refuses to transform. And that's where most traders fall apart. They treat the audit like homework, a formality, a box to check, a task to complete so they can feel productive for a moment before returning to the same habits that destroyed them last month. But the purpose of the audit is not documentation. It is transformation. It is the ongoing evolution of your identity as a trader. So let's talk about why most traders fail this process and how you can rise above them. First, they review emotionally. They look at their worst trades and drown in guilt. They look at their losses and spiral into shame. They avoid the truth because the truth feels heavy. And as long as they review emotionally, they cannot see clearly. The audit demands neutrality, the ability to look at your behavior without judgment, without self-attack, without ego, because you cannot change what you cannot observe. Second, they review vaguely. They write things like, I need to be more disciplined, I should wait for better setups, or I must avoid emotional trades. These are not plans. These are wishes. Vague reflection cannot create real change. Specific awareness does. Third, they fail to convert insight into action. They see the problem, but they don't change the environment around the problem. They understand what went wrong, but they don't adjust their habits, their routines, their structure. They don't make pruning real. They don't make keeping intentional. They don't make upgrading practical. And so nothing changes. Fourth, they let ego dominate the narrative. They justify their mistakes. They rewrite the story to protect their pride. They blame the market, the spread, the volatility, the timing. And in doing so, they protect their ego at the cost of their growth. You cannot evolve if ego is the one writing your audit. And finally, the biggest reason traders fail. They treat the audit as information instead of identity. They think the audit is about what they did, but the audit is about who they were while doing it. Behavior is not the root. Identity is. Your decisions flow from who you believe you are. Your discipline flows from how you see yourself. Your consistency flows from the standards you hold. Your emotional control flows from the identity you operate from. This is why the monthly audit exists, not to help you remember, but to help you become. Each month you choose what part of me must be pruned, what part of me must be reinforced, what part of me must evolve. This is not a trading ritual. This is a psychological transformation. And if you commit to it month after month, something remarkable happens. You begin to trust yourself, not because you win more trades, but because you become the kind of person who makes better decisions. You begin to feel lighter, not because losses disappear, but because you stop fighting your own mind. You begin to grow steadily, not because the market becomes easier, but because you stop sabotaging your own progress. This is the real edge, not the charts, not the indicators, not the strategy. The edge is the version of you who shows up consistently month after month because you reviewed yourself honestly, corrected yourself courageously, and upgraded yourself deliberately. Most traders skip this work, and that is why most traders stay stuck, but not you, because you now understand the roadmap, the cycle of evolution, the monthly transformation of identity. Prune what weakens you. Keep what strengthens you. Upgrade what elevates you. And if you repeat that every month without fail, you will become a trader. Most people cannot recognize a trader who acts with clarity, executes with intention, and grows with purpose. The market won't define you anymore. Your results won't define you. Your wins won't define you. Your losses won't define you. Your identity will. Identity built through awareness. Awareness built through honesty. Honesty built through the willingness to see yourself clearly. This is your path, your evolution, your journey toward mastery. Prune, keep, upgrade. Let this become your ritual, your compass, your transformation. Because the market rewards skill, but it elevates identity. And the trader you choose to become month after month will decide everything. If you've made it this far, then you already know something important. You are not just looking for better trades. You are looking for a better version of yourself. Because the path to mastery is not paved with perfect entries or flawless predictions. It is paved with self-awareness, discipline, and the willingness to evolve month after month after month. Prune what weakens you. Keep what strengthens you. Upgrade what elevates you. Repeat this process and your trading will change. But more importantly, you will change. The market may test you, it may challenge you, it may push you to your limits. But as long as you continue this inner work, as long as you continue refining your identity, you will rise. Not by force, not by luck, but by growth. Thank you for joining me on this journey inward. If this message spoke to you, if it helped you see yourself more clearly, let it stay with you, let it guide you, let it shape the trader you become. This is Mind Over Markets, where your evolution matters more than your entry, and where the most important chart is the one written inside your mind. Until next time, trade with clarity, trade with intention, trade with identity. Your next breakthrough begins with the next version of you.